Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Let me make sure my mic is working here and that you can hear me. Hello, everybody. All right, let's make sure my audio is good here. All right, looks like I'm working. Can everybody hear me okay? Happy Monday. Sorry about being so late. I know I originally had it scheduled for 8:30, but then the bestie was like, yo, I got shit from Alan because she was down there. So, I pushed it back and here we are. We're late, but it's okay. Oh, good. You can hear me. Thanks, OCD. All right, let me get to my hellos here. Let's see. So, Translucent earlier was in the chat. And this was their comment. I nominate you the best Idaho investigator. Well, thanks, Translucent. But I'm not an investigator. As you can see from the ticker here, I put it in the ticker. No facts here. I don't know shit. Right? And that's just how we're rolling, okay? From now on. No facts here. I don't know shit. Right? And then hopefully, that helps the fucking trolls in my comment section differentiate, what's going on here. No facts. Nothing. Okay. So anyways, let's get to the hellos. Let's see. Janet, hello. How you doing? Who else did I see in here? Why be so nosy? Hello. Diane, I know you're going to be team replay, but I just wanted to say hello to you. Warrior Mom, hello. Echoes, hello. Heather Fitzgerald, hopefully you're still here. Love you. Feed that pit bullopotamus some dinner. No problem. Tonka, yeah, running late. Sorry, buddy. How you doing? OCD, thanks for being here. Who else did I see? P Fox, as always. Hello. Yeah, and OCD's right. Now that P Fox is here, we can start the show. Truth and Justice, True Crime with Anna D. Hello, Mr. Sentinel, as always. Meg P. Hello. Ree, how you doing? Who did I miss? Wolf Angel, hello. All right, I'll call you Anna then. All right. So anyways, I know I had made a community post about it earlier. And I only made the community post because I thought it was, pretty interesting what was being said in relation to Bicka Barlow. So that's just something I wanted to look back on. I just wanted to go back and look at what Bicka Barlow was saying and what Stephen Mercer was saying. Obviously, we know things have been filed since and things are under seal. And, like I said, no facts here, just reading docs. I don't know shit. So that's why I'm just going to read docs and ask questions, right? I really don't know what else to say to anybody who's maybe a little bit fucking confused about what I'm doing here, other than reading docs, asking questions. I don't know shit. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's see here. Share screen. First thing I want to read here is going to be our declaration of Bicka Barlow. Make sure everybody can see that. Hey, Too Fast for Fleas, how you doing? All right, let me make this bigger. Okay. So, In this declaration here from Bicka Barlow, as we can see, it's dated June 22nd, 2023. This is the notice of filing, declaration of Bicka Barlow in support of the defendant's third motion to compel. And then we just have the certificate of delivery and her declaration here. Now, obviously, anybody who actually wants to go through and read her entire declaration and her CV is more than welcome to. I'm going to kind of skip over a little bit of that. It says here she's acted as DNA counsel or as a consultant on cases involving DNA evidence in over 200 cases, including capital cases in both trial and post-conviction proceedings. Additionally, I have been retained in 3 cases as a Strickland expert to assess the performance of trial counsel as it related to DNA evidence. As DNA counsel, I have reviewed case files for DNA evidence from many labs throughout California and the United States, including the California Department of Justice, SERI, Forensic Analytical Board, Orchid Cellmark, the FBI, the St. Charles MO Police Department Crime Lab, Contra Costa County Police Crime Lab, San Francisco Police Department Crime Lab, Sacramento County District Attorney Crime Lab, Oakland Police Crime Lab, Santa Clara County District Attorney Crime Lab, the Arizona Department of Public Safety Lab, and the Phoenix Police Department Lab. I regularly communicate with attorneys and experts who specialize in DNA evidence. I also regularly train attorneys in the area of DNA evidence. I was requested by counsel in this case to assist in determining the scope of DNA discovery necessary for defending this case, including any genetic genealogy that was used. Part of this assignment was to identify potential expert witness and legal issues that might arise from the use of genetic genealogy in particular. Because I have been retained on other cases involving genetic genealogy, I am aware of the methods used and the type of material that is and has been made available in criminal cases. In order to assist counsel in this and other cases, I have reviewed a multitude of materials, including peer-reviewed articles, magazine and newspaper articles, and motions submitted in other cases. I have also interviewed numerous expert witnesses in order to identify potential areas of interest to the defense. I have reviewed the material provided to the defense in this case regarding the DNA testing done, as well as numerous news articles regarding this case and the government's motion for protective order filed June 16th, 2023. I am informed and believe via news reports that in this case, Mr. Koberger was initially identified as a possible suspect via a new methodology called investigative or forensic genetic genealogy, hereinafter IgG. Go check chat real quick and say hello. Who's here? Victorine, hi. How you doing? Okay. So, she goes on to state, I am familiar with the methods used to conduct IgG searches in criminal cases. I have been retained in other jurisdictions on cases involving this type of search and have received and reviewed reports generated by the private company that conducted both the testing itself and the construction of the family tree that led to the identification of the defendant in those matters. Hi, Swirefly. How you doing, honey? Based on my review of that material, I am informed and believe that the use of these databases does not necessarily lead to a single individual as a potential suspect. The testing conducted by the private lab is different in nature from the testing done by forensic labs. The private labs do not generate a profile in the same way that forensic labs do, and there cannot be a direct comparison between the data obtained in this case by the Idaho State Police Crime Lab and the private lab. Let's read that again. The private labs do not generate a profile in the same way that forensic labs do, and there cannot be a direct comparison between the data obtained in this case by the Idaho State Police Crime Lab and the private lab. The ISP lab had conducted what is typically called STR-based testing, which results in a profile that can be uploaded to the state and federal CODIS databases. IgG labs use a different technology where individual SNPs are sequenced. The SMP and STR data cannot be directly compared. Amy Conway, Jackie, hi, how you doing? Once the IgG lab completes its testing, the SMP data is uploaded to a genealogy database that contains similar data from other individuals. One such database is GEDmatch. GEDmatch has recently been acquired by Verigen Labs. I am aware of only one other website that allows law enforcement searches. Most websites, such as 23andMe, do not allow use of their data by law enforcement and are used by most people for ancestry research. Data is compared within that database and possible relatives are identified. The determination of who is or is not a relative is subjective and based on the length of DNA shared between two individuals. The comparisons in such a database do not yield an identification of someone identical, the uploaded SMP data. Rather, it would identify possible relatives who might be in the database. Once a putative relative has been identified, a family tree is created, working backwards to grandparents and possible great-grandparents. The family tree is then built down. The construction of these family trees is highly subjective and is based on the use of public records such as marriage and birth certificates. Now, I'm sure this is everything we all know, which is fine. Yes, we all know this. Yes, we've all heard this a million times. Don't care. Sometimes it's good to actually just go back and read exactly what these experts wrote in their declarations, in my opinion, just to kind of do a refresher, right? So she's saying that the construction of these family trees in IgG is not only highly subjective, but it's based on the use of public records such as marriage and birth certificates. So those people who think that this family tree, they're actually like linking DNA, they're not. They're using fucking marriage databases and birth certificates. Okay? They're not using DNA. Difficulties with tracing a family tree may arise when there are events that sever a relationship, such as an out-of-wedlock birth, name change, or adoption. Difficulties with tracing a family tree may arise when there are events that sever a relationship, such as an out-of-wedlock birth, name change, or adoption. In some instances, contacting individuals for further family information, such as noted above, this process leads to a pool of individuals rather than one specific individual. I am also aware via news reports in the Golden State Killer case that multiple individuals... Oops, lost my place. Multiple individuals are often identified and must be eliminated in order to find the potential suspect. As described in the Washington Post, the technique leads to a pool of relatives, not a single individual. The same issue has come up in other cases where more than one individual was identified and subject to investigation. Hi, David Bird. How you doing? Heather. I know, right? Oh, that's what I mean. I think a lot of people are out here thinking that like this tree that they created, this family tree, that they were like linking via DNA on this family tree or something. They're not. They're literally just using like birth certificates and social media and shit, marriage records. I think people are under the assumption that this family tree was somehow, you know, I don't know. Maybe they think it's all DNA. Maybe it is. I have no idea. That's why I'm asking questions. But it sounds like what she's saying here is that nope. All right. So she's saying this same issue has come up in other cases where more than one individual was identified and subject to investigation. In the episode from the genetic detective show, Who Killed Angie Dodge, at least one relative of the defendant in that case was investigated and ruled out. Further complicating the Dodge case was the fact that the defendant in that case had been born after his parents' divorce and adopted by his stepfather. Interesting. Sidebar here. There was a time back in the beginning where it was kind of joked about that the reason his team knows that this DNA isn't his is because if they allegedly matched it via dad's trash and allegedly matched it to dad first, there was jokes going around in the beginning like, what if it's not actually his real dad? Then there's no way the DNA would even match to his dad if he's not his biological dad. So I just think it's kind of funny and interesting that in these last two paragraphs, basically, she's talking about how, like, an adopted, right, leads you to someone who's actually been adopted. Or, like, in this case, the fact the defendant in the case had been born after his parents' divorce and was adopted by the stepfather. Yeah, Heather, they think it's a genetic link, right? All right. So, in addition, there has been a history of misuse of these IgG databases by law enforcement. Abuses by law enforcement of the GED match resulted in users opting out of the use of their DNA data by law enforcement. The abuses and protests by users led GEDmatch to change their database so that users had to opt in for law enforcement use. Another database that allows law enforcement searches, Family Tree DNA, automatically opts users into law enforcement searches. An example of other abuses of this technology, a Florida police officer obtained a warrant for the entire GEDmatch database, despite users' choice to opt out of the law enforcement searches. Recently, the state of Maryland passed a statute regulating the use of IgG searches, requiring court approval at many stages of the process. Yeah, too fast for fleas. I know, right? I'm reading chat on my phone because I'm in another screen reading this, so I can't actually see chat on my screen, or I would bring up your comment. Yeah, Swirefly. Well, that's what I mean. I'm just saying, isn't it kind of funny? There was that like running joke in the beginning, allegedly, when the DNA like first came out, and they were like, well, they say his defense team seems pretty confident that they're right about this DNA. Give us this damn DNA. It was like they knew there's no fucking way you matched it to his dad because it's not his real dad. That was like the running joke back then. I'm not saying that's what's true. I'm just saying it was a running joke. Hey Tracy, how you doing? Yeah, I was over with Lana too, but I had to pop off. I was getting tired, wanted to do this live and go to bed. Yeah, I think so too, Janet. He looks like his mom. Exactly, Heather. Yeah. All right. So, according to Bicka Barlow here, recently the state of Maryland passed a statute regulating the use of IgG searches, requiring court approval at many stages of the process. And then she cites it here. It says, but IgG has generated concern, not just a claim. In early 2019, Family Tree DNA faced criticism after the public and site users learned that the company had secretly been working with the US FBI for nearly a year to conduct IgG searches. GEDmatch similarly faced reproach after it secretly permitted law enforcement to search its database to investigate a crime outside the scope of the site's stated list of offenses. In response, both sites unilaterally altered their terms of service and privacy policies to explicitly embrace their challenged conduct. But even after those efforts, sites have come under attack for violating their own policies, quietly changing their settings, and even failing to delete material as promised. I know, Tracy, sorry. All right. In some cases, both law enforcement and the genealogists that they have employed have engaged in deceptive practices, tricking family members, surreptitiously gathering genetic material from non suspect family members, or simply uploading an evidentiary profile to a database that does not allow law enforcement searches. So now let's think about that, right? We've heard that thrown around quite a few times. Basically, what they did, they took the profile and uploaded it as though they're the user into one of these databases that would normally not share anything with law enforcement. Is that what they actually did? I don't know. But Bicka Barlow here, who's the expert, uh, whose word I'm going to take over, any fucking troll in my comments on YouTube. I'm definitely going to take the word of Bicka here over anybody else. Just saying. She's the actual expert who trains lawyers in this field. So, um, you know, just saying. If anybody knows more about the discovery in this case regarding the DNA, it's going to be this person right here. And I'm 1,000,000% positive she knows more than anyone here on YouTube regarding this case. Just saying. Okay. So I think that when Bicka Barlow is saying that law enforcement uses deceptive practices regarding IgG, she's probably right. Now, I'm going to read this paragraph again, just so that it resonates. In some cases, both law enforcement and the genealogists that they have employed have engaged in deceptive practices, tricking family members, surreptitiously gathering genetic material from non suspect family members, or simply uploading an evidentiary profile to a database that does not allow law enforcement searches. It is imperative to the defense in this case to know how Mr. Koberger was identified and who else in his family tree might have been identified as a subject of investigation. While in the Dodge case, another relative was ruled out, it is unknown to the defense in this case whether every lead or possible suspect was further investigated and ruled out by genetic testing. Because the family by these genealogy searches often identify distant relatives through great or great great grandparents, a person may be completely unaware of the relatives in the genetic genealogy searches and unable to conduct an independent investigation of possible third party suspects. It is not possible for any defendant to investigate family relatives who are unknown to him and may, in fact, have been in the area of the crime. This material clearly is Brady material in that it would provide investigative leads that are otherwise unavailable to Mr. Koberger. Isn't that interesting? It is not possible for any defendant to investigate family relatives who are unknown to him and may, in fact, have been in the area of the crime. Interesting. Then I highlighted a portion down here because I thought this was even more interesting. Yeah, Tracy, I know. I don't know. Oh, thanks, Amy. Well, here's the thing, right? I'm not asking anybody to believe anything I say. That's why I have it on the ticker. I don't know shit. And I constantly say it. I don't know shit. Right? We have the information, we read it, we go through it, and then people take with it. They, make their own, form your own opinion. I'm never going to fucking tell anybody what to think or how they should think. I think that's, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, right? I'm not here to tell anybody what to think. I'm just here to go through the information and then, yeah, well, that was the other thing, Amy, too. I did, if I have time, I'll go through it. If not, I'll just post it in the comments probably tomorrow morning or something because I'm tired. I did find some new updated policies for IgG that are coming into effect. Actually, maybe they did go into effect. I think it was April of this year, recently. I think it was April or May of this year. There's a whole new set of standards that are going into effect, standards and protocols like across the board that are being adopted for IgG. So, oh, thanks, Amy. All right, so let's see. What did I highlight here? All right, so Bicka Barlow states this is IgG cases and similarities to CODIS. She says, in my opinion, as an attorney who specializes in DNA cases and who has seen both cold hit cases and IgG cases, the IgG database search results raise the same type of questions and areas of investigation that a cold hit case would. First, as noted above, who else was included in the pool of putative relatives in the first instance in the IgG database? Second, once the IgG search was completed, who in the pool of identified putative suspects were ruled out by further investigation? For the defense team, how many others were investigated and what caused law enforcement to focus on Mr. Koberger is key to possible investigation and third party suspects. Okay. And then she cites here. A cold hit case is a case in which no suspect had been identified and a DNA profile from evidence was created using STR based testing. This DNA profile is then uploaded to CODIS, a convicted offender database, and the database is searched for a matching profile from an offender. So it's interesting that her last sentence here is, for the defense team, how many others were investigated and what caused law enforcement to focus on Mr. Koberger is key to possible investigation and third-party suspects. Exactly, Heather. Okay. Sorry, I was just reading comments. Wanted to come over and read comments. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know, Tracy. That's what I mean. I don't know if anybody else was investigated. I'm not sure. I just know at the time of Bicka Barlow's declaration, based on what she's seeing in this discovery, there aren't a lot of answers. I guess I'm not sure. You know, I'm not going to pretend that I know because I don't. I think that's probably the difference between me and a lot of these other people on YouTube. Like, they'll literally come with all kinds of assumptions and tell you that you don't know nothing for a fact while they're just sitting there assuming left and right. It's like peak fucking hypocrisy. So it is what it is. Exactly, Heather. Right. Yeah. She's known the whole time what is up. Exactly. That's what I think too. The entire team has. I think that's why Masseth has always got that shit-eating grin on her face every time they step into court. It's why Jay just sits there, even in front of Hippler. He's sitting there fidgeting in his chair, picking lint off his pants, because they know what they got. They know what they got. I agree with you on that. They're not grasping at straws. They know what's up. All right, let's get back over here. So she says, third, and in many ways, most importantly, how does the search of a large database impact the statistical analysis of the comparison by the state lab using STR methods? As with cold hit cases, it is now well recognized that the statistical analysis of a comparison of an STR profile is impacted by a phenomenon called ascertainment bias. In the case of cold hits, initially, courts did not allow the fact of a cold hit, as well as its associated statistical, the database match probability, a DMP, as evidence for reasons similar to those presented by the government in this case. Aaron Murphy, Inside the Cell, 2015. However, it is now they got to proofread their shit. However, it is now accepted that in a cold hit case, the DMP is generally accepted and can be calculated by crime labs. The best illustration of this can be found in US v. Jenkins. And then she cites here, database match probability accurately expresses the probability of obtaining a cold hit from a search of a particular database. Balding Donnelly accurately expresses the probability that the person identified through the cold hit is the actual source of the DNA, in light of the fact that a known quantity of potential suspects was eliminated through the database search. The government cites to a California trial court order in regarding Michael Green, El Dorado County Superior Court case, which relies heavily on People v. Johnson, as support for the proposition that IgG material need not be disclosed. In its argument that the IgG search is a mere tip and not subject to discovery by the defense, the prosecution misreads Johnson. The issue in Johnson was when the government seeks to admit the fact of the cold hit, should the court require the government to also present the DMP, described above, rather than the standard RMP statistic. In fact, in Johnson, the fact of the cold hit was admitted over the defendant's objection. In People v. Turner, the California Supreme Court confirmed that the DMP statistic in a case in which a defendant is identified via a cold hit is relevant and admissible, and that, quote, there is no controversy in the relevant scientific community as to the accuracy of the various formulas. In other words, the math that underlies the calculations is not being questioned. Each approach to expressing significance of a cold hit DNA match accurately answers the question it seeks to address. The rarity statistic accurately expresses how rare a genetic profile is in a given society. Database match probability accurately expresses the probability of obtaining a cold hit from a search of a particular database. Bayesian analysis accurately expresses the probability that the person identified through the cold hit is the actual source of the DNA, in light of the fact that a known quantity of potential suspects was eliminated through the database search. And then she cites talking specifically about Koberger's case here in the footnote. It says, in its motion, right here. Okay. In its motion, the government misstates the statistical rarity of the comparison to the DNA from the sheath at page 6. Quote, the STR profile is at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be seen if defendant is the source than if an unrelated individual randomly selected from the general population is the source. This reported statistic for this comparison is a likelihood ratio, similar to an RMP, which compares two competing hypotheses. The government's statement is extremely misleading and is essentially the prosecutor's fallacy. The fallacy is to say that the probability is also the probability that the DNA at the crime scene came from someone other than the defendant. It does not say that the odds that the suspect contributed to the evidence are 1,000 to 1. Okay. So she's saying that the state is misstating, when they're claiming that that this profile, it's 5.37, octillion. Yeah, Heather, I know this is your favorite. This is where we got the octillion, the 5.37 octillion, right? Because the state claims that's the statistics for their comparison. And I know that Miss Audrey C. DNA over there, Miss Audrey Cakes, she's covered the prosecutor's fallacy. So big shout out to her. I know that she's gone through this. It's definitely important, I think, to know about, right? So the fallacy is that what the state is saying, that this has to be his DNA on the sheath, right? They're misstating that. It's a fallacy. And according to her, she can prove it's a fallacy because it's basically just two competing hypotheses from the state here. So that's interesting. All right. Right, Heather, exactly. Yes. You come over to my comments on the action here because I'm watching in my phone, but exactly. Moscow math. Yeah, exactly. All right. I have spoken with a number of experts in the field who have expressed the opinion that an IgG search can impact the statistical rarity of a profile in manner similar to a cold hit search, meaning that the statistic that is generated by an analysis of an IgG search could yield a relevant and admissible statistic. In the case of a cold hit case, even a high RMP can yield a low DMP statistic. For instance, an RMP of 1 in 1 million can yield a DMP of 1 in 3, which means that while the profile is rare, the likelihood of getting a coincidental match during the search of the database and selecting a person who matches but is not the perpetrator is high. Let's read that again. For instance, I'm going to fucking highlight it too. Okay. Right here. For instance, an RMP of 1 in 1 million can yield a DMP of 1 in 3, which means that while the profile is rare, the likelihood of getting a coincidental match during the search of the database and selecting a person who matches but is not the perpetrator is high. You're actually more likely to select a person who is not the perpetrator. The likelihood of you getting a match from the database of a person who is not the perpetrator is higher. Unless I'm misinterpreting what she is saying here, but I don't think I am. I'm sure someone will come into my chat and tell me. Heather, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's what she's saying here. She is saying that the likelihood of getting a coincidental match during the search of the database and selecting a person who matches but is not the perpetrator is high. So isn't that interesting? All right, well, Heather is not correcting me in my chat, so I must be right that I'm reading this correctly. Because I had someone tell me, as much as I get confused about stuff, I'm not perfect. Never claimed to be. Okay. Well, thanks, Heather. Just wanted to make sure I know you'll be the one who's right there to say, nope, Miss Potts, this is what it actually means. And that's what I appreciate about you, because you're not an asshole about it like some people can be. They know what everybody's thinking, what the thoughts in people's minds. They fucking know everything. There are people out there who know me better than me, Heather. Didn't you know that? Didn't you know that? So yeah. Doc Terry, hi. I'm darn near perfect. Oh well, thanks, honey. I don't think so, but I love Heather. That's why I modded her. She's not an asshole about it. She'll be like, "Hey, no, sorry, you misunderstood this," and I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, my bad. Thanks so much for explaining it to me." I can usually be pretty cool like that, but then I got these assholes that come up into my comments. They can't even make their own fucking content. They just have to piggyback off everybody else's content. And, oh, let me tell you why this person's wrong, or let me tell you, can't you just make your own content? Why don't you make a video telling us how, show us. Make a video showing us exactly how Brian's fucking guilty with everything the state's provided. Do that. Make a video on that. Instead of making videos on other people's content that you don't like. Get a fucking life. Anyways, I've never spent a moment in a chat of someone. I don't go watch people's videos that I don't fucking like. So it just amazes me that these people have nothing better to do except be on YouTube all day long, watching videos of creators they don't like and commenting in their comment section. It's wild. I have 2 jobs. I homeschool a kid. I don't have time to be on YouTube all day commenting back and forth to these fucking people who have no life. Okay? I don't know if they need jobs, hobbies, what. But it's wild. Hey, Kane B, how you doing? Yeah, I'm on a fucking tear tonight, man. No, I'm not. I'm saying, hey, Kane, how you doing? I'm just saying hi to you. I'm not talking about you, no. Stickergate too fast for please. What do you mean Stickergate? There is no Stickergate. There are no stickers. There were never stickers in Moscow. Didn't you know that? There are no stickers. There were never stickers. The stickers are figments of your imagination. It never happened. Well, I get it. Hey, Gretchen, I'm not saying that the people who are on YouTube have no life, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I notice there are a select few people that it literally could be 2 in the morning, it could be 12 in the afternoon, and it doesn't matter. They're right there. They're right there. Okay? They're right there to tell you why you're wrong, tell you why you're an idiot, tell you why you misunderstood something, tell you why, they know everything and you don't know shit. So that's why I just put it on my ticker, I don't know shit. And then they don't, yeah, Moscow's a figment of your fucking imagination. Exactly, Tonka. It's all a figment. What Moscow? What do you mean? Heather, it's one of my favorite videos that you've ever done, honestly. Stickers are a figment of your imagination. There were never stickers. I don't know. I'm just saying, you know? I have 2 jobs. I have a lot to do, you know. I like to read docs. I like to kind of nerd out. I like to ask questions. I did tell you guys from the beginning, mostly my channel is going to be reading docs and a lot of probably boring shit. And I'm going to ask a lot of questions and speculate here and there. But I'm not here to claim I'm smarter than anybody or know more than someone else. And I certainly do not waste my time watching channels or creators that I don't like. And I definitely don't go to their comment section. Okay? And there's a few creators, I've tried to like them. I've been nice in their comments. They were fucking assholes to me. So I unsubbed and they can kiss my whole sphincter. And they'll never get a fucking view from me again. I think that's what a lot of these hate watchers don't get, too. The hate commenters and the hate watchers, all you're doing is keeping me in the fucking algorithm. You're helping me. Idiots. Get back over to my regular chat here. Because I'm missing everybody's comments. I want to highlight some. Sudi, how you doing? Oh, I see. I'm this way. I got to come to my regular chat on the screen too, so I can see everybody. What did I miss? Too fast for fleas. Where am I missing? How come I can't see his comment? Oh, wait, there it is. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, Anna D. I appreciate that. I really do. I gotta go. I can see your comment on my phone, but now I have to find it. Where is it? Oh, there you are. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I don't think they get it, Tracy. All they're doing is helping my algorithm. They keep me boosted in the algorithm every time they comment, right? And that's what I tell them. Like, thanks so much for keeping me in the algorithm. Like, I guess that's, I guess, thank you. I don't know. I don't hate watch people. Um, yeah, so I don't know. It is what it is. I guess some people just enjoy that. I don't know what they get out of it, but shit. There was a while I went back a little while ago and had to go just unfollow a bunch of people and unsubscribe because I was just like, holy shit. You can't even ask a question without them, the whole chat, the mods, everybody coming at you. If you even just pose a question that goes against any of the narrative, they will come for you. So, you know, it is what it is. Let's get back over to this here. So, I'm going to reiterate this one more time, then we'll go on to the next part. For instance, an RMP of 1 in 1 million can yield a DMP of 1 in 3, which means that while the profile is rare, the likelihood of getting a coincidental match during the search of the database and selecting a person who matches but is not the perpetrator is high. When this evidence is excluded, jurors wonder why and how the defendant was identified. In one case, where the evidence of the search and the DMP was excluded, jurors inquired of the trial court how he had been identified. Failing to allow the defense access to the ability to investigate and potentially present evidence about the tip that the government intends to exclude could lead a jury to being actively misled by the strength of the government's evidence as it relates to the DNA on the sheath. Okay, let's hear that again. Failing. Let's highlight it. Failing to allow the defense access to the ability to investigate and potentially present evidence about the tip that the government intends to exclude could lead a jury, could lead to a jury being actively misled by the strength of the government's evidence as it relates to the DNA on the sheath. Okay, that's interesting. Could lead a lead. It could lead to a jury being actively misled by the strength of the government's evidence as it relates to the DNA on the sheath. She's talking specifically about this case, not just citing like some random case. She's talking about the damn case, this sheath. Okay. She is, arguing here that the reason this needs to be turned over is because the government shouldn't be able to give a tip and then try to exclude that tip where it could lead to a jury being actively misled by the strength of the government's evidence in the case. Am I interpreting that correctly, Heather? I'm always going to be like, Heather, tell me if I'm wrong. Let me go over to my chat so I can see. Yeah, exactly. I would say so too, Taka. Agreed, Tracy. They've been trying to mislead from the beginning. Agreed. Oh boy. Heather, you're my favorite. Yeah, that's my understanding too. It should be shown. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. I just don't want to have someone come back and tell me what a fucking idiot I am. You don't understand the doc. I don't understand it. That's why I read it out loud and I ask questions. And then I make sure I'm understanding it correctly. Yes, if the bingo, Heather, tax money pays for it. Right. All right. The government's arguments are similar to those that were eventually discarded by the court when they recognized that the search of a database can be considered as relevant evidence. So she's saying the government's arguments that they're making in regards to what they're arguing here for not having to turn over anything originally, right, were arguments that were eventually discarded by the court. So that's just funny to me that she says that. Yes, Tracy, isn't Heather a smart girl? She really is. She's a little smarty pants. That's why we like her. We keep her around. She's a little Miss Smarty Pants, and I fucking love it. If you haven't been watching Heather's videos, Heather, if I even knew how to link your damn videos, I would. Okay, I'll figure it out one day. I promise. I've been sharing Heather's videos because the potato is my most favorite thing ever. That potato cracks me up, Heather. It makes my day when I see one of your videos and that damn potato pops up in it. I just want you to know that. It makes my whole day. The potato, I die every time I see it. All right. All right. So let me get back over here to my document here. The government's arguments are similar to those that were eventually discarded by the courts when they recognized that the search of a database can be considered as relevant evidence. Research in the area of the impact of an IgG search on the statistical weight of a DNA comparison using standard STR DNA profiles is ongoing. There's too many periods here, so it looks like the sentence is stopping, and it's not. Or maybe I'm just blind and it's a comma, but it looks like a period to me. Maybe let me put on my damn blue light blocking glasses, because it might be the only thing that's going to help my eyeballs right now. I can't tell if that's a period or a comma. It's blurry AF. Tell you what. It's the potato, Heather. It literally, I can't. I love it. It's Heather Fitzgerald's channel, Tracy. Everyone's the potato, Gretchen. The potato pops up in many videos. They're all in the potatoes in Heather's videos. All right. Research in the area of the impact of an IgG search on the statistical weight of a DNA comparison. Oh, it is a comma. Okay. Look like periods. Using standard STR DNA profiles is ongoing. The ascertainment bias is accounted for using CODIS and STR and standard STR testing by use of the DMP statistic. The DMP helps a jury understand the likely of a coincidental match when a database is searched, which is different than the simple rarity of the profile expressed with an RMP. Without access to the results of the search, including how the first putative relative was identified, how many profiles were in the databases searched, which databases were searched, and how the family tree was constructed, along with the family tree itself, Mr. Koberger has no means to address possible significant issues with the government's evidence. Hey Scott, how you doing? Okay. This is the part that I had originally took a little screenshot of and shared. I was not saying, ha, see, these are the unknown male profiles from the crime scene. Nowhere in my post did I say that. The only thing I was saying in my post is that, as we can see here, from the actual fucking expert in the case who has seen the actual evidence and the discovery, tells us there were multiple other male profiles. Okay? So, I don't know whose fucking profiles they are. Okay? I don't know if they're the 3 from the crime scene, if they're 2 from the crime scene and 2 others. I have no idea. I'm simply pointing out that the expert asked to look at the DNA evidence in this case is telling us that there absolutely fucking was other DNA. And if that doesn't scream to you that we have a problem, okay? Because if you think that during this investigation they just for no reason at all uploaded 3 or 4 other profiles that just have absolutely nothing to do with the fucking crime scene. And they're just willy-nilly uploading profiles that for no fucking reason at all, people that have nothing to do with the crime. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. If you actually truly believe Mr. Koberger here is your only profile, you're out of your fucking mind. And that's all that I can tell you. There were other profiles in this case, period. End of story, uploaded to CODIS. Meaning even if the state or the FBI or whoever doesn't want to turn them over, too fucking bad. They're already in CODIS and that's where they stay forever. CODIS keeps everything forever unless you get that shit vacated or you have a court order to have it removed from the database. Okay? So I'll read this, because I just love it when people think they know what I'm thinking. They don't know what I'm thinking, okay? I wasn't saying that these are the 3 unknown male from the crime scene. Coincidence? Maybe. Could it also be those male profiles? Yeah, it fucking absolutely could be. Okay? It could absolutely be the other 3 male profiles, 2 inside, 1 the glove. And then maybe another. So let's read here, item 4.2, match detail reports and long-form candidate match reports for the hit, hits, including partial hits, and hits that are dispositioned to be non-matching, even if the laboratory has dispositioned a profile as a hit. From the discovery, in this case, it appears that at least 3 and possibly 4 profiles were uploaded to the CODIS database prior to Mr. Kohberger being charged. Okay? Prior to the arrest of Mr. Kohberger. So it's interesting because November 20th is when they found the DNA on the glove. So if this is the DNA related to the males in the home, we know that that DNA was located approximately between November 13th and November 20th. Okay. And these profiles that Bicka Barlow is talking about here, these 3 to 4, were uploaded to CODIS prior to Mr. Kohberger being charged. So a logical conclusion would be that it is likely the DNA from the crime scene, but that's just my guess. I don't think that they're uploading 3 to 4 other profiles that have nothing to do with the crime. Okay. Any profiles they uploaded are profiles that either came from the crime scene or maybe a suspect that they voluntarily got the DNA from or surreptitiously obtained from a fucking cigarette butt. I have no idea. But I think it's logical to assume that the 3 to possibly 4 other profiles that were uploaded to the CODIS database prior to Mr. Kohberger being charged are likely the profiles that came from the crime scene between the 13th and the 20th of November. But that's just my opinion. Mr. Kohberger has requested the discovery of these uploads and any resulting hits or candidate matches to these unknown male profiles, even if the lab has dispositioned them as non-candidate matches. So she's saying here, Mr. Kohberger has requested these discoveries, even if the lab determined them to be non-matches. Okay. Mr. Kohberger saying, fuck your lab. I want it tested myself. So even the people you eliminated, even the people that you claim to be non-candidate matches, I want those profiles too. Because he has every right. He has every right to vet and compare. Okay. And if you have 3 to 4 other male profiles that were uploaded to CODIS in this case, they aren't profiles of people that weren't suspects. And they didn't match to Kohberger. And we know that because of the filing from Jay Logsdon, where Jay Logsdon talks about how the male profiles, the unknown male profiles, that's how they know they didn't belong to Brian, because of CODIS. That's how they knew that these were separate and unique profiles that didn't match to him. So, anyways, Mr. Kohberger has requested the discovery of these uploads and any resulting hits or candidate matches to these unknown male profiles, even if the lab has dispositioned them as non-candidate matches. When a profile is uploaded to the CODIS database, it is searched continuously against the database of convicted offenders and arrestees maintained by the state, generally on a weekly basis. This ensures that as new individuals are added to the database, they will hit on evidence sample profiles is they are deemed, I think she meant to put if they are deemed a match. Somebody's got to proofread this shit. If they are deemed a match. These candidates are then forwarded directly to the lab that uploaded the evidence profile for further evaluation. The lab will then determine if the individual candidate is a candidate match or non-match. The lab then dispositions the individual in the database as a candidate match or non-match. All that the lab sees of the candidates is an anonymized DNA profile. The disposition of a candidate match triggers the state to then provide the identity of that individual to the lab for further investigation. Come over to chat here. Colleen, sorry. Hi, how you doing? I just came over to chat. I was in another screen. I missed who said what. Can't remember, but it was in a document or said by the prosecution. I'm not sure. Oh, you're talking to Heather. Okay. All right. Go back over here. So even she's saying here, when a profile is uploaded to the CODIS database, it's searched continuously against the database of convicted offenders and arrestees maintained by the state, generally on a weekly basis. So this is how you know, right? CODIS, like, once your profile's up, so let's think about this, right? If they uploaded 3 to 4 other male profiles to CODIS prior to Kohberger being arrested, then those 3 to 4 male profiles would still be in the database. And on a weekly basis, they would be, I guess, continuously compared, searched. That's interesting. So, I think that's why maybe like the DNA, I don't know. I don't know exactly how the defense would go about getting the profiles that were uploaded to CODIS if, for some reason the state claims we no longer have it, or we don't know where that information is, or we don't know, we didn't do that, the FBI did, they won't give it to us, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? Fact of the matter is, those 3 to 4 other profiles are in CODIS. So I don't see why the defense themselves wouldn't be able to go and get them. Should they not, for whatever reason, not be produced in the manner they're supposed to be produced? Just go get them. They're there. Anyways, that's just what my brain was thinking. Sidebar, sorry. All right. This ensures that as new individuals are added to the database, they will hit on evidence sample profiles if they are deemed a match. These candidates are then forwarded directly to the lab that uploaded the evidence profile for further evaluation. The lab will then determine if the individual candidate is a candidate match or non-match. The lab then dispositions the individual in the database as a candidate match or non-match. All that the lab sees, I already read this, the anonymized DNA profile, blah, blah, blah. In the last 10 years of my practice, I have encountered a number of cases in which a database search has resulted in more than one candidate, and in which, upon court order, The anonymous profiles of the other non-matching profiles have been provided to the defense under court order. The number of non-matching profiles varies from case to case and include one case in Santa Clara County, People versus George Shirakawa case, and the People v. Hernandez, is illustrative of the subject nature of the interpretation. In the last 10 years of my practice, I have encountered a number of cases in which a database search has resulted in more than one candidate, and which, upon court order, the anonymous profiles of the other non-matching profiles have been provided to the defense under court order. The number of non-matching profiles varies from case to case and include, and then she cites the cases, and she's saying they are illustrative of the subject nature of the interpretation. In Hernandez, the lab uploaded multiple interpretations of a mixed sample to the state database. One interpretation returned 5 candidates, and the second returned 28, including the defendant. In Hernandez, the lab opined that 2 of the candidates could not be excluded as a source, while a defense expert reached a different opinion that 15 of the candidates could not be excluded. The lab in the Hernandez case provided to the defendant the profiles of the 5 and 28 individuals from the CODIS search. This information was presented at trial in order to impeach the interpretation of the work done by the lab and to undermine the idea that a match by a lab is an actual identification of a single individual. So it's funny because I think someone was talking shit to me about Hernandez earlier today, the Hernandez case. So let's read this again. Okay? Under a court order. Okay? The lab in the Hernandez case provided to the defendant the profiles of the 5 and 28 individuals from the CODIS search. This information was presented at trial in order to impeach the interpretation of the work done by the lab and to undermine the idea that a match by a lab is an actual identification of a single individual. The fact of this match made by the CODIS system is considered Brady material because it provides possible avenues of investigation of other suspects in the case. The fact of this match made by the CODIS system is considered Brady material because it provides possible avenues of investigation of other suspects in the case. Given the subjective nature of mixture interpretation, it is reasonable to believe that other experts might disagree with whom actually is the candidate. And in this case, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial, other suspects are an important area of investigation. Okay? So the partial and ambiguous profile is not Hernandez. That's not what Bicka's talking about. Because she ended this sentence here. That's why there's a period. It says, given the subjective nature of mixture interpretation, it is reasonable to believe that other experts might disagree with whom actually is the candidate, period. And in this case, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial. Other suspects are an important area of investigation. So now, there might be some, that's why I wanted to read it. Heather, you're here. I know you'll correct me. Hey, Becky, how you doing? Thanks for joining. I'm not actually on my screen with my chat, but I can see chat on my phone. So now, I understand that up here, she's talking about People v. Hernandez, right? She's saying this information in Hernandez was presented at trial to impeach the interpretation of the work done by the lab and to undermine the idea that a match made by the lab is the actual identification of a single individual. The fact of this match made by the CODIS system is considered Brady material because it provides possible avenues of investigation of other suspects in the case. Given the subjective nature of mixture interpretation, it is reasonable to believe that other experts might disagree with whom actually is the candidate. And then she says, and in this case, which I assume she means Koberger's, the one she's being asked to look at, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial, other suspects are an important area of investigation. Heather, tell me if I am misinterpreting. Maybe it's how it's written, but it sounds to me what she's saying. And in this case, meaning the case she's been requested to consult for, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial. I mean, I feel like she's definitely referring to the sheath DNA there. Could be wrong. I'm sure there'll be a video about it tomorrow telling me why I'm wrong. But I think that it is my opinion because there's a period here at the end of this sentence. And she says, and in this case, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial, other suspects are an important area of investigation. I feel like she's closing out her argument here where she's talking about the other DNA, okay? Because it starts here, item 4.2. She's starting with this 3 to 4 other profiles. She's closing out with, and in this case, right here, in which the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial. Other suspects are an important area of investigation. Yeah. Oh, okay, Heather. So it's not new. Yeah, I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Right. Yes, that's what she's talking about. Well, that's what I think too. That's how I'm reading it. She's saying in this case, meaning this case, the profile at issue is ambiguous and partial. So it was an ambiguous partial profile, which means they had to like amplify it and do things to it to make it a full profile to get enough, right? I could be wrong. I'm no expert, but whereas these other 3 to 4 profiles are full profiles that were uploaded. Doesn't look like they had to do any extra work to the other profiles to be able to upload them. It looks like with this partial and ambiguous profile, that's the one that had to have extra work done to it in order for it to even go to CODIS. Echoes. Aw, thanks. Oopsie. Did I click the wrong thing? Oops. Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying too, Heather, right? And in this case, right, is the case that she's been contracted for, is what I'm assuming she means as well. Tracy. Okay, you think so too. All right. Thank you, Echoes. Well, there were many times where I was on a panel and I was just like, you know what, I'm out. Just click off this shit. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'm not sure, Amy, but that is kind of what it sounds like here. If his profile was partial and ambiguous, then things had to be done to it to make it a make it a large enough profile to go to CODIS. Like CODIS, you can't, as far as I know, you can't upload like a partial. Could be wrong. I'll look it up, but like I said, I'm no damn expert. Didn't plan on talking about um, going into all that. I just really wanted to go back and refresh on what the experts in this case are saying, because we don't get much, but what we do, I think it's good to refresh every now and then. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know, right? It's kind of wild. All right. So, unexpected results and corrective actions. Laboratories are required under accreditation standards to maintain logs of what are called corrective actions or unexpected results, along with root cause analysis documents for specific types of incidents encountered in labs. These logs are an important measure of how the test methods are performing in the lab and also can be an indication of ongoing systemic issues, as well as analyst-specific issues, both of which may be relevant to the testing in this case. Okay, if I can read this again, highlight it too. For the simpletons, we'll hide it. We'll highlight that. These logs are an important measure of how the test methods are performing in the lab and also can be an indication of ongoing systemic issues as well as analyst-specific issues, both of which may be relevant to the testing in this case. Okay? My guess is, at the time that Bicka had to write this, these logs weren't in fucking Discovery. I'm guessing this is why she's citing it, saying, we need these damn logs. Where are they? Right? Why aren't they in the damn Discovery? Okay? It's discoverable. Should be there. Where are the logs? I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what she's saying here too, but I don't think I am. She's saying not only both of which may be relevant to the testing in this case. Both of what? Well, right here. Indication of ongoing systemic issues, as well as analyst-specific issues, both of which may be relevant to the testing in this case. So she's saying, in this case, we may have some issues, indicators of ongoing systemic issues, as well as analyst-specific issues, and that these logs are very important. Okay? These logs are very important. And my guess is at the time that she wrote this, she didn't have these fucking logs. Because she's like, where are they? Why don't they? What do you mean you don't have them? Excuse me? She's literally like, this is very important. This is like standard accreditation. Do you understand? It's right here. Accreditation standards. This is the standard. It's not an extra, it's the baseline standard to produce these logs in your damn discovery. And if you're using a lab that doesn't produce these logs, okay, or has ongoing systemic issues and analyst specific issues, right? Oh, maybe you shouldn't be using that lab then. Maybe stop giving your money to that lab. Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. You know? I don't know anything. I don't know shit. Like I said, I don't know shit about shit. I don't know shit about fuck. Okay? I don't know shit about shit. So, what I do know is that if I have tens of millions of dollars and I want to give it to someone to do some work for me, it's not going to go to a company that has potential ongoing systemic issues as well as analyst specific issues. So, like their employees have constant issues as well. Not only does the owner have systemic issues, but the employees. I'm probably not going to give that person tens of millions of my dollars anymore to do any kind of work for me or anything. So I don't know, maybe I'm reading this wrong here, but it sounds like what she's saying when she wrote this was that the accreditation standards to maintain these logs clearly was not met because these logs are an important measure, okay, for everything, basically. And she's saying the San Francisco, so I'll continue reading. Yeah, I know, echoes, right? Can you imagine? I mean, I don't know. I'm only assuming. Like I said, I don't know shit. But it sounds like what she's saying here is that when she wrote this, she's looking at this discovery saying, Your Honor, she's writing this out. This is her declaration in support of them getting the discovery. She's saying, we need this stuff. This stuff is not only standard, it's basic, and it should have already been provided because it's the standard. It's just the standard. Sorry if you hear that. My cat is literally chasing her fake mouse right now. So you're going to hear her. She's skidding out on the floor. Exactly, Tonka. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like she's saying we have an incomplete discovery here. Okay. All right. So let's wrap this up. It's not much more. These logs are an important measure of how the test methods are performing in the lab and also can be an indication of ongoing systemic issues as well as analyst-specific issues, both of which may be relevant to the testing in this case. The San Francisco Crime Lab routinely produces their entire log to the Office of the District Attorney as Brady material, and this document is distributed to the defense bar. The last iteration of this document was over 100 pages. I declare under penalty. You hear that? So she's saying, where she comes from, right? Where she usually works with, the San Francisco Crime Lab, right? They routinely produce their entire log to the Office of the DA as Brady material. The document is then distributed to the whole defense bar, okay? And usually, the last time she received one of these, it was over 100 pages. So that tells me this poor woman got less than 100 pages. Because she's saying I should absolutely have way more than 100 fucking pages here. Okay? Because that's normally what it is. Right around there. No? Anybody else? Maybe I'm reading this wrong too. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting everything and don't actually understand anything. But it sounds like what she's saying here is that under normal circumstances, when you work with people who have transparency and have no problem maintaining that transparency, what they do is they routinely produce their entire log to the office of the DA under Brady, and then it's distributed to the entire defense bar, because that's actually how transparency works. We have nothing to hide. Here's the entire log. Here you are. Bye. Isn't that interesting? So the San Francisco crime lab, apparently, um, you know, they produce over 100 pages. So my guess is she's including this to let the judge know at this time. I don't even have 100 pages, and I should have probably more than that, you know? And then she says, I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, and that those matters stated upon information and belief are true to the best of my knowledge. And then the rest of this is just her CV. So I'm not going to sit here and go through her entire CV. I'm sure, we all know it. But yeah, interesting, right? I think that there's quite a few little interesting little nuggets and chunks of information. What do you guys think when we go back and read this? Well, I'm just going to keep saying it, Tracy. I don't know shit. I'm just reading docs, asking questions, no facts here. I don't know shit, right? I feel like it's just the easiest thing to do in these YouTube streets. Because people are fucking wild. They got nothing better to do. Except talk shit to people, I guess. I don't know. Where'd you go, Heather? There you are. Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Agreed. So I think exactly, Heather. I think so too. I think that this document has quite a few very interesting little chunks and nuggets of information to help kind of get a glimpse into what was going on at the time. No, just because, I'm a smartass. Also because I'm a boomer and I just like to troll the shit out of people sometimes, but I'll do it on my live. I don't go to their comments and do it. I'll just do it in my live. It doesn't bother me. That's why I don't block anybody. I don't want to say it doesn't bother me. I just don't understand why someone would have, 3 hours of their day to like comment on my stupid little post on my community tab. It's wild to me. I don't know. I don't have time for that shit. You know, I just don't. I can't just sit and like comment and other people's shit all day long and like, oh my God, you're so stupid. I can't do that. Oh, well, thanks, Tonka. It's not even just her. That's not even specifically who I'm talking about. There's quite a few. I noticed that there's just so many. I think that's probably why it blows my mind, right? Because there's so many of them. And I'm just like, oh my God, what is happening? I'll get out of work and I've got literally, 30, 20 fucking notifications. And I'm like, what the, you know, I don't know. I'm just like, wow. It's like Facebook all over again. It's like Facebook 8 years ago all over again. Anybody remember the days where you had to make your Facebook private because if you commented on like a news article or something, the trolls would come to your profile and find the first post that they can that was public for them to comment on, like, and it would be like on your, a post of your family or something like that, and they'd come and troll. Yeah. Anybody remember those days? Pepperidge Farms remembers, you know. Well, same, Tracy. Right, right. Oh, I'll go comment like to ask a question or to like chit chat or right. Of course. I just mean like I don't go to people's comments to like argue for like 3 to 4 hours straight, you know. Mine is still private too, Heather. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even use it to be honest with you. I can't remember the last time I actually made a post on Facebook. I use it for sometimes for marketplace, and then sometimes I'll use it to go back in my memories and like snag photos from 15 years ago. But yeah, I remember the days of literally having to make my posts private so that, God forbid, if I made a comment on a news article or something, I didn't have 40 people coming to, my family photo to be like, you know, it was wild. Facebook was wild for a while there, man. I was like, my God, these people were hunting people down in real life, like kind of like here. They'll hunt you down in real life, try to get you fired from your job. Um, you know, it's wild. Anyways, stop sharing this one. I got one more. If y'all are up for it. We got one more expert to hear from. His is kind of long. The whole thing is wild, Heather. The Garrett discovery. I can't help but laugh every time I hear it. Just because every time I see someone mention Garrett discovery, I just hear sigh in my brain. And I'm like, nope, not gonna get me with that one. I just wish you would make more, right? More, Heather. Make more. Whenever you have time, obviously. Whenever it's convenient for you, give us more. All right, let's see. I got one more. Let's make sure I'm sharing the right one. Okay, we got Stephen Mercer here. Make sure you can see that. Nope, can't. Oops. Fix that. Hopefully everybody can see it. Oh, that's too big. All right. So, Declaration of Stephen Mercer. We can see here, 22nd day of June. Okay. All right. Everybody ready? It's not too long, I don't think. I know a few pages of it is his CV, so hopefully we can get through this. All right. The defense has retained me to determine what a reasonably competent criminal defense attorney would do to adequately investigate and understand DNA evidence, including forensic, genetic, genealogical, DNA analysis, and search, FGGS, also referred to as investigative genetic genealogy, IgG, when representing a defendant in a criminal case. I have based my opinions on my training and experience as the former chief attorney of the Forensics Division at Maryland's Office of the Public Defender, ODP, and director of its statewide litigation support group, and my professional and litigation experience as a legal practitioner, including casework in 2 FGGS IgG matters. I have included my resume with its declaration. To summarize, for much of my 28 years practicing law, I have been actively involved in litigation, training, and commentary related to issues arising at the intersection of DNA technology and the law. In 2003, I litigated the first constitutional challenge to Maryland's DNA databank. I later led the successful effort before the Maryland General Assembly and the D.C. Council to ban familial searching of DNA databanks. That litigation led to DNA training and opportunities to work closely with expert DNA scientists and tour forensic DNA laboratories, NIST, Bode, Maryland State Police, and Montgomery County Police. By 2005, I began collaborating with Maryland's Office of the Public Defender, ODP Forensics Division, on post-conviction DNA innocence cases and assisted with OPD. I need to put my glass on. Hang on. OPD's DNA College training for assistant public defenders. In 2010, the public defender recruited me to become the chief attorney of OPD's Forensics Division. In 2011, Governor Martin O'Malley appointed me to represent Maryland on the Education, Ethics, and Terminology EET Interagency Working Group, established to support the Subcommittee on Forensic Sciences, SOFS, and the Executive Office of the President on Policies, Procedures, and Plans related to forensic science at the local, state, and federal levels. In 2016, I addressed by invitation the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology about the admissibility and reliability of forensic science in criminal cases. I have also been invited to address the FBI's National CODIS Symposium on the privacy and racial justice implications of familial searching of DNA databanks. I addressed these same topics by invitation before the American Academy of Forensic Sciences and the National Institute of Justice. In 2018, I addressed the American Academy of Forensic Sciences, of which I am a member, on the topic of the application of genomics to forensic DNA analysis. I have been an adjunct professor at the David A. Clark School of Law at the University of the District of Columbia, where I developed and taught a class on scientific evidence from 2010 to 2018. This guy kicks ass, by the way, can I just say. Let me hop over to chat here. This guy kicks ass. I don't know if anybody's actually ever read through the whole document before, or if they just kind of, only took the little pieces they wanted to out of it. But that's why I'm kind of looking to read as much of these as I can without skipping too much, right? This guy kicks ass. Yeah, Sam Sudi. If I'm the state of Idaho, I'm like, oh shit. Well, what expert am I going to get now? I mean, when you think about it, right? Most of the experts, unless it's sealed, I think I've said this before, unless they're under seal, which I don't think they are, because I feel like we would still see them filed in the, you know how you can get the little summary on the cases of interest page? You can go into the summary and it'll show you things that have been filed under seal. I haven't seen anything regarding like a prosecution expert. I don't know that the prosecution has filed a declaration from any expert. I haven't seen any. I could be wrong about that, but I haven't seen any. So I'm just thinking, like, if you're the state and you see that they have Bicka Barlow, Stephen Mercer, Cy Ray, right? Who are exactly, maybe somebody can link it like in the comments or something, or tell me even if you're in chat. Who are some of the attorneys that would even go up against these people that the defense has? David Thompson tantrums. Well, I'm just saying, you know, that it's kind of wild when you really think about it. All the experts that we know the defense has, holy shit. Who are they going to bring up against her? Think about it, right? Chief Medical Examiner, Barbara Wolf. She's been the chief medical examiner for Florida District 5, I want to say, almost a decade, I think, her CV said. That's her current position. She's been doing it for like a decade plus. With all of this other training and background and all of this other crazy shit, like recognizing stage crime scenes, assault. It's just wild. I think she's taught some classes as well. So I don't know. If I'm the state of Idaho, I'm looking at these experts that the defense is bringing in, and I'm like, oh boy. All right, let's go back over here. So, from 2010 to 2017, as the chief attorney of the Forensics Division at OPD and director of its statewide litigation support group, I was responsible for developing and implementing training and litigation support services for the agency's 550 assistant public defenders across all fields of forensic science. The Forensics Division conducted an annual DNA college to train assistant public defenders about the minimum practice standards for DNA cases. While at OPD, I routinely conducted case reviews with DNA scientists and assistant public defenders of DNA case files from the FBI, the Maryland State Police, Bode Technologies, and county laboratories, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and Anne Arundel County. In 2016, the Maryland Judicial Training Institute invited me to assist with DNA training for judges. Okay, let's just do this again, right? Real quick. The Forensics Division conducted an annual DNA college to train assistant public defenders about the minimum practice standards for DNA cases. While at OPD, I routinely conducted case reviews with DNA scientists and assistant public defenders of DNA case files from the FBI, all these other places. In 2016, the Maryland Judicial Training Institute invited me to assist with DNA training for judges. So this guy is training the assistant public defenders about minimum practice standards for DNA cases. This is for federal and other cases, by the way. This isn't just, he does it for everybody. Assistant public defenders across all fields of forensic science. Then in 2017, and then so in 2016, the Maryland Judicial Training Institute invited him to assist with DNA training for judges. He trains judges, or did train judges. Isn't that wild? Later in 2017, I returned to private practice, focusing on criminal defense, post-conviction, and appellate litigation in Maryland and the District of Columbia, emphasizing forensic science issues. My prior work at OPD is especially relevant to my review of the matter at hand because I was responsible for overseeing the training and litigation support for assistant public defenders in cases involving DNA evidence. My prior work at OPD, hang on. My prior work at OPD is especially relevant to my review of the matter at hand because I was responsible for overseeing the training and litigation support for assistant public defenders in cases involving DNA evidence. My team trained OPD's assistant public defenders that, at a minimum, in a case involving DNA forensic science evidence, the duty to investigate requires the attorney to A, follow the evidence from the crime scene to the testing laboratory, including crime scene processing, the chain of custody, decisions to test, and searches of databases. B, to know what documentation typically exists related to the testing of evidence, including the range of police reports, crime scene processing reports, and documentation. C, to review case-related communications about evidence and testing. D, to request crime lab documentation related to any forensic testing and report, including the laboratory's case file and standard operating protocols. E, to identify any database search, and F, to seek out assistance and litigation support, including expert support when necessary, to understand how to use the discovery to advance the theory of defense. Only when an attorney meets these minimum standards can the attorney make reasonable tactical decisions about challenging inculpatory DNA forensic evidence and/or introducing exculpatory DNA forensic evidence. Interesting. So his prior work at OPD is relevant to the review of the matter at hand. He was responsible. Chain of custody, decisions to test. So he needs all of this. He needs the duty to investigate requires the attorney. So he has no other choice than to request all of these things, ask for all of these things, right? And he's saying that only when an attorney meets these minimum standards can the attorney make reasonable tactical decisions about challenging inculpatory DNA forensic evidence and/or introducing exculpatory DNA forensic evidence. It's interesting. Let me get over here to my chat. How's everybody doing? Let me get off of this. Hang on one second. I'm going to plug my phone in real quick. I don't know, Tracy. Some say they did get all of it. Some say they did get it. Who knows? Hey, Moonvale. How you doing? How are you? Ah. Thanks, Heather. Yes. So that link there is where Jay Logston talks about the other profiles. And we know that the glove profile was found on the 20th of November. The 3 to 4 other profiles uploaded to CODIS that Bicka Barlow's talking about, I would assume because they were uploaded to CODIS prior to Koberger being arrested. I mean, I would imagine they were. So, We know that they were uploaded to CODA sometime before December 30th, right? They were uploaded prior to him being apprehended. So, anyways, yeah, that's the link that Heather posted. I need to go plug in my phone real quick. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Had to go plug in my phone. All right. Oh, hey, Heather, you're back too. So am I. All right. So, yeah, what was I talking about? I know I was reading that document, but I feel like I was initially talking about, I was answering someone's question. Someone said something, but let me go look back through these comments real quick. All right. So let's get back over here. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm tired. All right. I was also responsible for overseeing the process for OPD's assistants, assistant public defenders to request expert services for their indigent clients. Under Maryland's Public Defender Act, OPD is required to provide necessary expenses of legal representation. And then it cites it. The Act links the determination of need to the minimum constitutional standards by looking at factors such as the nature of a case and the length and complexity of the proceedings. To that end, I developed and published internally at OPD a manual that articulated when an attorney should request expert services. At a minimum, an attorney should request expert services when there is a reasonable probability, one, that an expert would be of material assistance to the defense, and two, that denial of expert assistance would result in a fundamentally unfair trial. Assistance includes preparing defense counsel to effectively investigate a case, obtain discovery, negotiate a plea, challenge the admissibility of evidence, cross-examine the prosecution's experts, and present defense evidence and expert testimony. The standard does not require a prima facie showing of what counsel intends to prove at trial, nor must the factual basis for the defense expert's opinion be undisputed. I'm dumb, so I'm going to highlight that. Am I even saying that right? I think I need to have Uncle Google tell me how to say it right. Prima facie? Prima facie? How do you pronounce that word, Chad? I'm no lawyer. I don't know. Tracy. I guess it doesn't matter if I know that word right. Does anybody care? I don't care if I said it right. Oh well. Still, there must be more than undeveloped assertions that the requested assistance would be helpful. In summary, counsel for a client may need to make a detailed, although not conclusive, showing to justify the retention of an expert. It is a minimum practice standard for defense counsel's investigation to obtain discovery of DNA testing of evidence regardless. Let's highlight this. Let's just highlight this real quick. It is a minimum practice standard for defense counsel's investigation to obtain discovery of DNA testing of evidence, regardless of the prosecuting authority's decision to offer the DNA testing results as evidence at a hearing or trial. The minimum practice standard for investigating DNA evidence is rooted in the ABA Standards for Criminal Justice, Defense Function Standard 4-4, 1A, which outlines the general responsibilities of a criminal defendant's trial counsel regarding the duty to investigate. It states, defense counsel should conduct a prompt investigation of the circumstances of the case and explore all avenues leading to facts. So, I know there's, a lot of people will argue, oh, well, certain things don't have to, if they're not going to use it at trial, it doesn't have to be turned over. They're not going to, they already said they weren't going to use it at trial. Well, it actually doesn't even matter if they're going to use it at trial or not, because according to this expert here who trains lawyers and judges on DNA and forensic science, okay, he's saying that it's a minimum practice standard rooted in the ABA standards for criminal justice. So, the American Bar Association standards for criminal justice, the minimum practice, minimum, this is the bare minimum this person must do. Okay. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that. At face value. Okay, perfect. Wish they could just say that, and then it would make it a lot easier for people like me to just read it. Exactly, Heather. Bingo, right? It's not up to the state to decide. Here's the thing. I'm not even sure what would make the state think that they could have anything to do with making the decision regarding DNA, right? Hang on one second. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Yes, Heather. Agreed. Right? It's not up to them to decide. And that's what I mean. It's not up to them to decide, like, especially when it comes to DNA, in my opinion. And this guy here is saying that at the bare minimum, it's a minimum practice standard for investigating DNA evidence is rooted in the American Bar Association standards for criminal justice. Okay? It's the general responsibility of a criminal defendant's trial counsel regarding the duty to investigate, right? Then he even gives a citation here. An indigent defendant's constitutional right to expert assistance rests primarily on the due process guarantee of fundamental fairness. The leading case is Ake versus Oklahoma, where the Supreme Court reversed the conviction and death sentence of an indigent defendant after the trial court denied his request for a state-funded psychiatric examination. Ake held an indigent defendant whose sanity is seriously in question has a constitutional right of access to a psychiatric expert to prepare an effective defense based on his mental condition. Other constitutional principles also support the appointment of an expert for an indigent defendant, including equal protection and Sixth Amendment right to effective assistance of counsel. Relevant to the merits of the case and the penalty in the event of conviction. Oh, sorry, it continued. My bad. Include effect. No, there was it ended here. Hang on. I see. Defense counsel should conduct a prompt investigation of the circumstances of the case and explore all avenues leading to facts relevant to the merits of the case and the penalty in the event of conviction. The investigation should include efforts to secure information in the possession of the prosecution and law enforcement authorities. The duty to investigate exists regardless of the accused's admission or statements to the defense counsel of facts constituting guilt of the accused's stated desire to plead guilty. ABA standards for criminal justice defense function. Relatedly, the ABA has promulgated a set of criminal justice standards on DNA evidence in 2007 that requires the pretrial production of DNA discovery standard 4.1 provides A, the prosecutor should be required within a specified and reasonable time prior to trial to make available to the defense the following information and material relating to DNA evidence. Laboratory reports as provided in Standard 3.3, if different from or not contained in any lab report, a written description of the substance of the proposed testimony of each expert, the expert's opinion, and the underlying basis of that opinion, the laboratory case file and case notes, a CV for each testifying expert and for each person involved in the testing, the written material specified in Standard 3.1, reports of all proficiency examinations of each testifying expert and each person involved in the testing, with further information on proficiency testing discoverable on a showing of particularized need, the chain of custody documents specified in Standard 2.5, all raw electronic data produced during testing, reports of laboratory contamination and other laboratory problems affecting testing procedures or results relevant to the evaluation of the procedures and test results obtained in the case and corrective actions taken in response, and a list of collected items that there is reason to believe contain DNA evidence but have been destroyed or lost or have otherwise become unavailable. Now we know why that's interesting, right? Hi, Lana. How you doing? What's cracking, homie? I had to dip out. Sorry. I was like, I gotta bang this out and go to bed. I'm at 2 hours. I'm almost done. I'm beat. Yes, Heather. Exactly. Right. Whose stuff is being deleted? Good night, Lana. Go to bed. Same. Almost done. Her chat's being deleted. Well, I just think it's interesting here that Mercer, right, is saying a list of collected items that there is reason to believe contain DNA evidence but have been destroyed or lost or have otherwise become unavailable. You know, that's interesting considering we can't give you what we don't have, right? We can't give you something we don't have. Well, yeah, I know, Tracy. 2 hours and 21 minutes. I need to go to bed. We're almost done, though. Yeah, she drops in, she says hi, and then she dips out. She's been at Delphi. She was at the trial all day, from what I understand. Right, Heather, it is interesting. I thought it was interesting. Maybe Bill said that after Mercer did this. I honestly don't remember the dates or, I don't know. I don't know if Mercer if this was said before or after Mercer, but I do remember the, can't give you what we don't have conversation happening. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the spoliation instructions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. And then it looks like the last thing. So this is everything that he is saying. Mercer here is saying the standard. This is the ABA, the American Bar Association Standard for Criminal Justice. This is a standard disclosure. Your standard disclosure is going to provide you all of this. Okay. Material or information, this is the last thing on the list here, material or information within the prosecutor's possession or control, including laboratory information or material, that would tend to negate the guilt of the defendant or reduce the punishment of the defendant. The minimum practice standard for a competent defense counsel to obtain and review discovery applies to forensic genetic genealogical DNA analysis and search, FGGS, and IgG. FGGS, IgG involves testing biological identification evidence from the crime scene or a targeted person to develop a genomic DNA profile and searching the results in private ancestry databases. The laboratory ranks the search results by centimorgan. A centimorgan is a unit of genetic measurement that describes how much DNA and the length of specific segments of DNA are shared between a GED DNA profile in the database and the GED DNA profile from crime scene evidence or a targeted person of interest. FGGS-IgG also involves a genealogical investigation by law enforcement based on the ranked matches found in the database searches to clarify the family tree of interest and potentially identify the branch populated by the source of the crime scene DNA evidence. The scope of discovery provided by the prosecution in the FGGS IgG cases I have worked on included kinship assessments from searches of genealogy databases, and law enforcement's genealogical investigative findings to clarify a family tree, and further target persons of interest. So, what Mercer's saying here, the scope of the discovery provided by prosecution in other cases like this will include kinship assessments from searches of genealogy databases, and law enforcement's genealogical investigative findings to clarify a family tree and further target persons of interest, right? Your discovery, he says, the discovery included information about law enforcement's genealogical investigations of the top ranked matches and persons of interest targeted for DNA sampling or further investigation. The discovery also included sample description information, chain of custody information, amplification, fragmentation, and precipitation details, hybridization information, DNA input levels, and consumption of sample details. The prosecuting authorities provided the discovery upon my request. Right? So, what he's saying at the time when he wrote this, okay, is that we don't have this. So it's like another Bicka Barlow declaration. It's like another, we don't have it. Can you give us this? This is what it sounds like, right? Mercer saying here in other cases, this is usually what the prosecution turns over. You're going to have A, B, C, D, X, Y, and Z included. And he's like, we don't have it. And normally, they provide it upon request. He doesn't need to be brought to court to testify to the judge to have the state ordered to give it to him. Okay. I think that's more what he's saying here with this last little line. The prosecuting authorities provide the discovery upon my request. So when he's writing this, it's almost like he's saying, I mean, I'm speculating here, right? Since we all know what everybody's thinking, and right, I'm just going to speculate that I know what Mr. Mercer here is thinking. And when he's writing this, he's getting this little dig in, like, usually these motherfuckers just hand it right over when I ask. I don't have to usually be brought in to testify so that a judge can order they turn over what is normal, standard discovery and what should be in it. I know you know what I'm talking about, Heather, right? That's that, and I'm probably reading it wrong, right? Maybe I'm just misunderstanding it. But yeah, I think it's pretty funny. Like Anne had to bring him to court to have him testify to John, to be like, no, like, actually, this is what we are supposed to have. It should have already been there. You know, I don't know. I'm just saying that's my interpretation of this. He's basically saying these are all the things that we would normally have, and they give it to us upon request. Why are you rage quitting the chat, Kane B? Why are you rage quitting the chat? You have a good night. Take care. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's starting to look like. I mean, I don't know, right? This was filed, what, June 22nd, 2023? So, I mean, it's been a year. I know that stuff's been handed over here and there, and we don't really know, but I just think it's pretty funny that he's like, hey, so the prosecuting authorities usually provide the discovery upon request. I normally don't have to file these declarations, Your Honor, to get this information, is basically what my smartass would say, right? It's out of the realm of the norm that I would have to file a declaration like this and be dragged into court to have to explain to you why this is just standard what should be disclosed. I'm it's hysterical. All right, let's continue reading. In general, the FGGS IgG discovery is essential to the defense because, among other reasons, the discovery A includes the results of DNA testing of crime scene evidence. B provides match information from database searches and potential suspect information from law enforcement's genealogical investigation. C may identify the branch or branches of the family tree of interest that are consistent with the amount of DNA shared between the source of the crime scene DNA and the known person or persons in the database. D. Identifies the public and private DNA databases searched by law enforcement and the ranking of results. E. Reveals the number of third parties who law enforcement may have targeted for covert, consensual, or warrant-based DNA collection. F. May identify the number of putative perpetrators identified through FGG, SIGG. Interesting. G. Review whether law enforcement collected DNA samples from every putative perpetrator. H may describe the manner in which law enforcement collected DNA samples from targeted individuals. And I is necessary for the defense to be able to identify and consult with an expert. Therefore, under the minimum standards of practice for defense counsel investigating forensic DNA evidence, it is crucial for a reasonably competent attorney to obtain the FGGS IgG discovery. I reserve the opportunity to update my opinions based on new information. Right? I like how they say that. Yeah, June 22nd, 2023 is when this was filed. So that's kind of, I want to look at this again. In general, the FGGS IgG discovery is essential to the defense because, among other reasons, the discovery includes the results of DNA testing of crime scene evidence, provides match information from database searches and potential suspect information from law enforcement's genealogical investigation. It reveals the number of third parties who law enforcement may have targeted for covert, consensual, or warrant-based DNA. May identify the number of putative perpetrators identified through FGGS IgG. Interesting. That makes me wonder. Let's stop sharing this real quick. Let me go back to my little chat over here. Well, that just makes me wonder. I know we all have speculated, like, well, if you had 4 DNAs, right? Why didn't you make 4 trees? Maybe they did. Maybe the IgG, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, but it would seem that, I'll read it again. D. Identifies the public and private DNA databases searched by law enforcement and the ranking of results. E. Reveals the number of third parties who law enforcement may have targeted for covert, consensual, or warrant-based DNA collection. F. May identify the number of putative perpetrators identified through FGG SIGG. and G, it would reveal whether law enforcement collected DNA samples from every putative perpetrator. So that just makes me wonder. I mean, I don't know, Heather. I mean, here's my thing, right? So if I'm just throwing it out there, I mean, it has been, the wording has been tossed around, I think, by Anne in one of the filings, seemingly ignored other DNA or something like that at the right. Law enforcement seemingly ignored other, I think was the statement. So I mean, I don't know if they did do, what if they did do IgG? Just hypothetically, what if they did do IgG for all four, but that didn't include the other three? Guesses. I mean, I don't know if that's possible. I don't even know if that's something you can do, but just throwing it out there. What if, like, the defense knows that something is missing, right? Because Mercer himself is saying it should be in there. It sounds to me like even Mercer himself is saying that you should actually have all of that. You should have FG, you should have IgG for all of the profiles. Right. Well, that, I don't know. What if they just didn't include those trees? What if they didn't include that information? Right? Like if you're Mercer and you know it should be there because you had four, why wouldn't you have done the four? You're already doing the one. And he knows the discovery for it would include that. It would include other perpetrator DNA, like IgG stuff, right? It would include the results for that and what was done. I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm not saying. I do think it's very interesting, though. Going back and reading just Bicka and Stephen alone. Lots of interesting little reminders of what was going on here. Yeah. Yeah, I think so too, Janet. Yeah. Right. Yeah, they know it's male. That's what I mean. They definitely, further testing, some testing was done on it. That's how they know it's male, you know? Right. Yeah. Right. I guess what I mean is like, so if according to Bicka Barlow, right, there's 3 to 4 other profiles that were uploaded to CODIS. Those profiles, and this is pre-Koberger arrest, those profiles didn't produce a hit, allegedly, right? So if those profiles didn't produce a hit, yet, so hear me out. How would you have, if you got his DNA from off the sheath, all of this DNA is collected, say between November 13th and November 30th or something, beginning of December, people were still going in and gathering evidence, right? But I feel like the bulk of the forensics was done within the first week or so, right? So I guess the way that I look at it is you allegedly get this DNA off the sheath, okay? this partial and ambiguous profile off the sheath. Yet you have these 3 to 4 other profiles you're uploading into CODIS before you're uploading, doing anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what the chain of custody is on the sheath DNA from the lab in Idaho that allegedly, maybe I got this wrong, but are they the ones that found it, or was it initially that there was nothing on the sheath and it was sent out? I could be wrong. Right. Yeah, they added them. Okay. End of November. Okay. So then, yeah. It's just kind of weird to me, right? So you had these three to 4 male profiles being uploaded before he's arrested. We know he was arrested December 30th. I don't know. I don't understand exactly how you have these full samples, right? That you didn't do IgG on, but you did on this partial and ambiguous one that also had to be like sent out and had to go, to another place. It's going to be interesting to see like the exact chain of custody on that specific piece of evidence, I think. Yeah, I mean, could be, Heather. I don't know. Tracy, yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like. I was just reading Bicka Barlow's declaration, and that's definitely what it sounds like she's saying, is that in this case, the issue at hand is related to a partial and ambiguous profile. So you have these 3 to 4 other profiles you're uploading to CODIS pre-Koberger arrest. And yet Mercer is saying, and so is Bicka Barlow, that information is basic minimum standard of discovery. So if you did upload these profiles to CODIS, why aren't they in your discovery? It's basic minimum standard to include it. So I don't know. It's just kind of wild going back and reading. Their declarations are basically them asking for what they don't have and what they need to be able to guide the defense in a proper direction for effective assistance of counsel for their client, which is exactly what their job is to do as experts in their field. Whether they were brought on by the defense or the prosecution, it doesn't fucking matter. They're the experts in their field, and they are called in and asked to consult and take on these cases, specifically. And they can't do their job without the basic minimum standards being met by both sides, right? And it would appear that in their declarations, they're basically saying, like, this is, Your Honor, this is normal shit that should have been included. And we shouldn't even be here having to ask for it at a hearing. We shouldn't even be here. The state shouldn't have to be under order to turn these things over. So I guess that's kind of the point that I'm getting at. When you really go back and look at it, this is filed June 22nd, 2023, last summer. Interesting, right? Interesting time last summer. June and July were real interesting last summer. Anyways, yeah. Yes, exactly. They think they can find profiles at the scene, upload them to CODIS, and then not turn them over to the defense. And even Jay Logsden refers to at some point in a filing, I think it was. I don't think it was in court. I think it was in a writing that he did in a filing where he's talking about the other profiles, right? And how the reason that they know that the profiles aren't Koberger's is because of CODIS, because they didn't match to CODIS. So Jay is letting us know. That's another way you can logically deduce that the profiles that Bicka Barlow is talking about are the same profiles Jay Logsden is talking about in his files, in his filings. These are the profiles, okay, that were uploaded to CODIS. He is saying that this is how they were able to exclude that these other profiles belong to Koberger, because Koberger was put into CODIS too. So if all four of them are in CODIS, do you understand what I'm saying? If they put the other three in first, and then they arrest Brian, run his buccal swab through CODIS, now they got all four, his defense team knows, well, his shit doesn't match the other three. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out, right? It's not hard to deduce that they're talking about the same DNA. That's my opinion. I'll just say that. That's my opinion. I believe that the 3 to 4 other profiles that Bicka's talking about are the same other 3 that Jay and Ann have referred to. I feel like it's a logical, you know, piece to put together there. Based on what Mercer's saying, based on what Bicka Barlow is saying, it would appear that they all correlate. So, I don't know. Just my opinion. Protective, yeah, motion for protective order. It won't let me click on the damn link. I don't know why. So yeah. Anyways, what up, Phil Biggs? How you doing? Good to see ya. We're about to shut it down though, because I'm tired and going to bed. So you'll have to hit it on the replay. But yeah, anyways, hope that was funsies for everybody. Just wanted to go back, do a little refresher on the writings of Bicka Barlow and Stephen Mercer. Get it fresh in the brain. Actually read through it. Let it absorb. I will try to link everything. I try to be good about it, but not gonna lie, I'm a busy girl, and it is what it is. Sometimes I don't have time in the morning to sit and post links and then pin it and stuff. I'll try though. But yeah, you can find this all on the Cases of Interest website. You have your notice of filing, Stephen Mercer, Bicka Barlow, their declarations, print them out, read through them, mark them up, highlight them, do whatever you want. I like to go back and read these things because I think it's important. And we got a hearing coming up soon. So, new expert. She's going to be allowed to chill and hang out on the Zoom. And maybe the court might agree that it's appropriate for her to testify. We'll see. But yeah. Hopefully, it was a nice little refresher course for everybody. A little bit of fun. Hope you guys have a great night. It's late. It's almost 1 in the morning. Yeah, exactly. Make a binder if you want. Do whatever you want. But definitely, it's probably a good idea, if you do like documents, to go hit up the website. You have a printer, just start printing everything off. Put it in chronological order, and then you can take your time, go back, look at it at your leisure. There's going to be a lot coming up soon, so might as well brush up on what some of the things that we know in the past that have been discussed, maybe what might be coming up again. Maybe we'll learn about some of these things because we know filings came after. Obviously, it's been said the state has turned this all over. They were ordered to by judge, and etc. So we'll see, right? But yeah, everybody get some rest. Heather, thank you as always for being amazing. She's an amazing mod. Everybody, all credit to Heather because truly, she is a doll. And if I knew how to link her channel, I would, but I don't. I'll figure it out though, and be able to link her in the chat. If you don't watch her channel, which I'm hoping you all do, but if you don't, you should. Hey Joanne, how you doing? Yeah, Heather, you have to watch Heather. Audrey, she's another one. Miss Audrey. Swamp Rose too. Oh my goodness. Somebody said that she gave me like a huge shout out. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Swamp Rose. I will have to go look and see what that was. But anyways, yeah. Might not see you guys at all. Halloween's this week. So probably won't see you at all. Actually, for the rest of the week, other than in chats, but I don't think I'll be doing any more lives or anything this week. So I hope everyone has a wonderful, happy Halloween. And if you're going to go trick-or-treating, be safe. Okay, wear reflectors. Get lots of candy. Don't forget to wait for your kids to go to sleep and then raid their candy bags and take all your favorites. Not all of them, but a few. It's a tax. They got to learn about taxes at some point, right? Take 7%. Well, thanks, Tracy. Thank you, Janet. All right. Happy Halloween, everyone. Have fun with the kids, the grandkids, the families. I hope you eat lots of treats. Enjoy spooky season. Depending where you live, snow is coming soon. Woke up to some this morning here where I am. So, yep, it's on its way. Hope everybody has an awesome night. Catch y'all later. Bye.